Hey everyone, welcome back to the range. My name is Matt, also known as the Armor Wizard Zap Zap. We've got a surplus body armor to test today in full transparency. One of my followers donated this body armor panel that they picked up from Sportsman's Guide. If you all don't know who Sportsman's Guide are, I can't help you. They've been around for as long as I can remember. I remember, 20, 30 plus years ago, thumbing through the catalogs, looking at all the military surplus stuff because they have tons of cool stuff. Anyways, this particular body armor panel is from 1996. It is Italian or Italian, someone correct me in the comments below, surplus.
Mr. Ahmed Foley is here to see.
Axel Foley. Axel.
Achwell.
Axel.
I'm not sure if it is ceramic or not, but based on the weight and my prior knowledge of testing body armor, I have confidence that this has a ceramic strike face and a polyethylene backer. It weighs 6 pounds 12 ounces. It's approximately 670 thousandths thick. The main area that you see here is 10.5 by 12. It's got this little flap down here at the bottom. I'm guessing that's either polyethylene or some kind of aramid fiber. It is single curve there, it's not multi-curve. Not a bad little piece of body armor. I don't remember how much this particular one cost. There was a rectangle pure polyethylene plate that we tested in another video, and I think those panels are still available for $30 a piece, and those ones were rated for NIJ level 3, and they actually did pretty darn good. Now over here on my channel, we do things completely different than a majority of other YouTube channels when it comes to demoing or testing body armor. We try to mimic as many NIJ constants as we can out here in the woods. So we shoot at 45 feet. That is the official NIJ testing distance for rifle armor. We shoot at 0 degrees because that is worst case scenario. We don't put any plate carriers or magazines or anything in front of the body armor. We want worst case scenario so that if you see a stoppage out here, you have pretty good confidence that in a real world situation with a shorter barrel length or actual distance, that round is going to be stopped. Now, if this were testing for a new manufacturer plate and a manufacturer saw me test a round and it stopped here, they should send the plate off and have it tested at the NIJ lab for an official note that it stops whatever that round is. We also use a giant clay briefcase filled with Roma Plastilina #1 clay donated by Chavant. Now, it's the same exact clay that the NIJ uses, but in order to show appropriate back face signature, it has to be heated to around 103 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's only about 35 degrees outside today. I did build an insulated box to heat our clay, but I came out here in short order today, and I think I need about 3 to 4 hours to get it up to temperature, so we're just using it as a giant compressible media for the body armor to be mounted against, because we don't want the plate flying off in different directions. We want it to be solidly mounted. We also use a chronograph whenever possible. We have a Pro Chrono Pal Digital DLX because we need to know the velocity of that round as it strikes the plate. And finally, we put a spreadsheet here at the beginning that we kind of foreshadow all the threats that we're going to shoot at it. And in the end, depending on this plate's construction, we do a tear down, we confirm all of our penetrations, and we include that in a summary view, and then we send you on your merry way. I forgot to mention in the opening video that, again, per another NIJ standard, if this does employ a ceramic strike face, typically as a preconditioning test, we would drop it on its face 2 times. But because this is surplus and it's like 26 years old, I figured we would just shoot it as is because it's probably been dropped a few times in its life. So we're going to start with our caliber 5.56 by 45 millimeters. We have M193, that is a 55 grain full metal jacket. We have M855 or SS109, that is like the NATO's standard issue ball round. It's 62 grains. It has a conical steel penetrating tip in it, 50 on the Rockwell C scale. Then we have the U.S. Army's current issue ball round. That is the M855A1. That is the enhanced performance round, a evolution of M855. Has a much larger and harder steel arrowhead penetrator and a copper core. I'm not sure what this plate will do, so we're going to start off with the 16-inch. This is a Springfield Hellion or Croatian VHS-2 rifle. We've got a Primary Arms 6X LVPO up top. Yankee Hill Turbo 556 up front. Hopefully my offsets are correct. I'm going to put this on the left side of the plate. All right, we are right on. Kind of looks like ceramic than the M855. Now the A1, I'm going to place a little more off to the right. Unfortunately, I didn't bring the full assortment of my barrel lengths out today, so we're going to jump right to the longest barrel that I have, which is our 22-inch TC compass. Still have the Turbo 556 up top, got our primary arms, 16 power scope up here. We're going to take 2 more shots of M855A1, M855, and M193. If I can find out where I dropped that round. A little dirt never hurt them. Now I did go down to check penetrations and can confirm this is a ceramic plate. So in theory, depending on how thick the ceramic is, it should stop these rounds. So this one's going to be on the 3rd row on the left. I was on the edge a little bit. Not sure if we're getting velocity reading off these. I think we are. Now the M855. This will complete the 3rd row. This is over by the date, 1996. Now this is where it gets a little spicy, the A1. It's on the 4th row. And just to give this thing a fair chance, I'm going to put this 2nd round of that down by where I have the size, because since it is ceramic, I'm likely cracking the strike face a bit. And I just smoked a strap. Glad I have patrons to help pay for those straps. If you guys are interested in becoming a Patreon or even dropping me any kind of donation, there's a super thanks, and it allows you to make a donation to the channel as a way of saying thank you for doing this. And if you bought this and wanted to know how it performed, you don't have to shoot it, I get to. And now we'll move on to our caliber 7.62 by 51 millimeters or 308 Winchester. This is what the actual NIJ level 3 spec calls for. This is M80 ball. It's 145 to 150 grain full metal jacket. Sometimes the jackets are steel and they're copper coated, so they attract a magnet. This is Poon-Sang or PMC surplus from the early 1980s. We've got our 22-inch TC compass on here. I just got a new extractor from Smith & Wesson on here, so we're back up in business. Got the JK Armament rifle kit up front because I actually had an end cap and last baffle strike on our Phantom M2 on our last outing. I didn't notice it until I got it out today, and I'm like, uh-oh, Raggy, what happened there? So I think maybe one of my M2 AP loads or something wasn't stable or something or other, and that kind of ruined my day there, so I'll have to send that off to Yankee Hill. We're going to take 3 shots of this from this barrel. The spec is 2750 or 2780. If we don't see that out of here, I brought the 24-inch for kind of our plus B plus there. I'm going to place this first shot in a compromised area up towards the top. Nice. And this one is going to be lower left. Went way low left. I don't know how that happened. And then this one will be next to that A1 shot. Way too close to the A1 shot. All right, there's not a lot of this plate left, but we've got 2 more shots of our M80 ball. We brought out the 24-inch Savage Access 110 Tactical. So we're seeing well above spec on this, 2,900 to almost 3,000 feet per second out of this. This is basically overkill, but again, always worst case scenario over here at the channel. So this shot, I'm going to place on the right-hand side. And then this shot, I'm going to place kind of in the middle of a bunch of shots. Pretty good velocity. All right, let's go see what we did that plate and see what it looks like on the inside. Yeah. Running low on straps this weekend, but we've got good hits on this plate. There's a couple non-fair hits. We'll go over those in a second. But our M193 from the 60-inch, number 1 and number 2. Then M855, number 1 and number 2. Then our A1 shot number 1 and then 2. Then we went up to the 22-inch M193, number 1, 2. Then M855, number 1 and number 2. And then our A1 shot was down here. We got a little bit messy on the M80 ball. Shot number 1 was right there. That's pretty darn close to that. I wouldn't consider this a fair hit. Then shot number 2 was right here. That's ½ inch from the edge. That's not really a fair hit either. Then shot number 3 was over here. I apparently pulled those shots, or maybe the round rubbed the suppressor a little bit and threw the point of impact off, not sure. But then our plus P plus M80 ball wind shad, shot number 1 was here, and then shot number 2 was there. Those are definitely fair hits. Place those bets in the comments below. R.A.N.G.E. We have a couple penetrations going on here. We have a penetration from that M80 ball shot right there. That is not a fair hit. Then from our first hit of our M855, or our second hit of M855A1 from the 16-inch, and down here from the 22-inch as well, our plus P plus right there penetrated. But the one over there kind of looks like it did, but maybe it stopped it. It looks like they are using Kevlar or aramid fibers as a backer, and our ceramic, I don't know, I'm going to guess it's alumina. Let me get really close here. It's pink. I don't know why it's pink, but it's pink. Very, very interesting. Now, typically in the past, when I've tested aramid as a backing material, it does a pretty good job at controlling backface, and it did very much so here. The 308 shots that it did stop, I mean, there's not even a bulge in the panel, but if the ceramic strike face doesn't break up that bullet, this type of material doesn't slow the rifle bullets down. I would say if you pick this up on a whim from Sportsman's Guide, and you know, generally I wouldn't recommend you using this as your current issue personal protection body armor, but it held up pretty darn well. As I mentioned, our ceramic strike face is pink. It's a girl. I'm going to assume that this is alumina based on how well it actually held up. It's around 312 thousandths thick. Here is our strike face. And what's pretty darn amazing is we're using an aramid fiber or Kevlar, yellow stuff, as kind of a lamination on this, and it actually held up pretty well. When we get into our silicon carbide and boron carbide, that's really good at stopping some of our advanced threats, but it's very brittle, if that's the correct word to describe it. The more hits you put on the plate, the more that the crack propagation spreads out, and the faster the strike phase degrades. We put a lot of hits on this particular plate, and we have cracking down here, but we have a solid piece of the plate here, up here, and then all along the edge. So very, very nice there. And then the rest of our backing material, again, Kevlar aramid, measured around 370 thousandths thick. This is, as I mentioned, a very old plate, so there is no drop face foam protectant on this or any foam on the back. And for whatever reason, how this plate was designed, our aramid fiber extends down to here. And to confirm, kind of hard to see, those non-fair hits of M80 ball penetrated, that M855A1 down there penetrated. Otherwise, I think this plate performed rather well, at least in this design. And that's all she has to say about that, folks. Not only do the Italians build fine sports cars, they seem to build pretty darn good body armor. I'm amazed that this 27-year-old body armor plate was able to stop our standard M80 ball as well as our above spec, in addition to our 5.56 threats coming out of the longest barrel length possible with our M193 and M855. M855A1 was a problem for this particular design. I apologize about the kid driving the side-by-side, but in this case, with using a Kevlar aramid backer, if the ceramic doesn't do a good enough job at degrading our penetrating tip, then the aramid fibers don't do a good job at grabbing those fragments and slowing them down. Otherwise, the back face signature that we didn't see from our 308 hits shows that aramid has an advantage here. I like that they wrapped the aramid on the front side of the strike face as well to kind of create that laminating effect. And that strike face held up pretty darn well, whatever the material it is. I would have to assume it's alumina, but I don't know why it's pink. With all that being said, it's time for me to get the heck out of here because it's Larvitar Community Day on Pokemon Go, and I'm also getting a little bit hungry. But at the end of all of my videos, I take a moment to thank all those who help make these possible. Number one is my family who's out here today driving the side-by-side and we're making some trails. Number two is my Patreon and Subscribe Star fans. I have a link tree in the description below with various different ways to support me. A lot of this stuff does come with costs, especially M855A1. So I have some affiliate links like for our Gators sunglasses that cost you nothing, earn me a sales commission, and I put that money right back into the channel. Number three is the fine gentleman who donated that body armor from Sportsman's Guide to Destroy with no strings attached. And of course, number four is you all for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you at the range. Come on.